Hello, John Tapp here again. I'm going to run you through some new features that I've just added to do inter-observer agreement on transcript files in a line-by-line method. I'm going to show you how to set up for that and run a few sample files that I've been running with Jeanette. So to start it up, I'm going to assume you have Moose's installed, Moose's version 4, and updated to the latest. On the startup menu, it should be in the all apps or apps on Windows 7 or all apps on Windows 8. The start screen on Windows 8, it's in all apps. It's under Vanderbilt Kennedy Center. Moose is for Windows. Start it up. I'm going to go through the settings that I've already done. I'm going to go to the current code file. If you don't have it loaded up, contact me about getting a code file. This is Jeanette's code file, so I'm going to just go ahead and open it again, just show you how to open it. I have a folder named Jeanette on the desktop. The code file is named tclamv4.code. I'm going to open that up. You can see our codes here. And we want to make sure that we have them marked as timed event. We want to make sure that we have the groups marked with as count groups. If you just want to count them, you can have duration groups and transcripts, and these are Procoder transcripts, so and I'll show you what they look like in Procoder in a second. So I'm going to exit saving the file. It makes sure we have the code file properly loaded. Okay. I'm going to create an output file that I already have. I'm going to just create a new one. I'm going to name it 67 output. You can name these whatever you want to name them. Now you can see the 67 output there. For this demo, we don't want to include the pooled output. We're going to do inter-observer agreement and some frequencies. I do want to keep the time unit files so that I can show you what they look like. If you did not select that, then you would it would not keep the second by second files that Moose is using to compare. And those are useful for you to look at if you need to check to make sure Moose is reading the codes incorrectly. Okay, so I'm going to set the selected analysis preferences to make sure that they're set right for a Procoder transcript file line by line. So I want to make sure it's on Procoder. The convert times to seconds is probably a good idea, but not totally necessary for this. Use first and last times for file names. The other thing we want to make sure that we mark for this, if we want to compare each line as an interval, we want to mark that the files are fixed interval data. And that's what we want to do for this. Okay, and I'm going to save that. And right now, just let me show you what the Procoder file, one of the Procoder files looks like. I'm going to open it up on the other screen and show you what it looks like. Sounds I'm getting are because it's not finding the code file. Press for the code file. Here's the Procoder file, and the data looks like this. Each row is marked. There's a code set in Procoder that matches Moose's code set. But basically each line is marked, coded however you want. These are the utterances in the file. It's not really relevant what this is about for this demo, but you do want to use the same time marked file without coding before your coders code the files, and then mark each utterance with the codes you care about. And if you need help with that, please contact me. Okay. I just wanted you to see what they look like, because they are transcripts and they are marked with these bracket codes. Okay, so the first analysis I want to do is just a test read, and inside the Genet folder I have the files I care about, and here's the Genet folder. I have them in the new latest 6.6, new 6.6. Here's 3 files, the same, which was the same time marked transcript coded by 3 observers. So IF, MF, and AG are the observers. I'm going to drag them in here, and you see that it adds them to the default file pool in Moose's. MF, AG. Just for the purposes of getting frequency counts on the intervals, which in this case are lines of a transcript. I'm going to do a test read just to be sure that it works. Run that, and then if you had errors, you would get them in the output. The output pops up. That's what it looks like. To clear that out, I'm going to do clear the output file. Then I'm going to go into event frequencies and duration and just look at the preferences on that. We don't want to do any nested counting right now, so I'm going to say no nested counts, and that's the important preference there. So I'm going to run that. And this will run frequencies for each group, for each of the files. And you can see here, this is the frequencies for the IF file, and the frequencies for the MF file, and the frequencies for the AG file. It's useful to look at these. I'm going to leave them in the output for now. Okay, then I'm going to change the analysis type to inter-observer agreement, and I want to just check the preferences on that. We do want these to be exhaustive. Normally, count groups are non-exhaustive, but we do want these to be exhaustive. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those exhaustive. The default would be non-exhaustive because they're count groups. But in this case, we're treating it as intervals, and so we have an exhaustive system because if nothing was coded in that group, we have the none group. We want to check output agreement matrix so that we can see the matrix for each group, and I'll show you what that looks like. And just for this demo, I'm going to check output disagreement times. And we're going to want 0 in the agreement window size because we're just comparing the same interval. I'm going to save the settings. Then I'm going to run the inter-observer agreement. Wait, this would compare IF and MF, and AG needs to be compared to something, so I'm going to put IF in again. It comes up with a message saying file is already present. Do you want to add it anyway? Yes. So then that would compare AG to IF, and then the other comparison we want to make is the MF to the AG, so I'm going to add those back in again. And I still get the message. Do you want to add it anyway? Yes. And I'm going to add the AG again. You want to add it anyway? Yes. You might notice that we have these SBS files, and that's because I picked keep the time unit files here. Those files have each interval, and they got created when the frequencies were run. They would be created on a test read as well. Okay, just about done with this. Okay, I have the preferences set how I want it. I've got my pairs in here. I've got IF versus MF, AG versus IF, MF versus AG. And I'm going to run the selected analysis. And we get this screen. What we could do here, I'm going to go ahead and do it, is export to Procoder. I'm going to put it in here. A file name, a file with the disagreements in it. So I'm going to name it disagreements.pdb for Procoder. And it goes ahead and opens that up, and if you want, you can go set your media file back and play these again. It'll play around the correct area so you can look at them in Procoder. That's the idea with that one setting. Just going to exit this without saving it. Continue. So that was the export to Procoder feature on the disagreements. Continue. Then I get the same thing for the other pair. I'm not going to export each one of them again. Continue. Continue. And here's our output. And again, I left the frequencies at the top of the output file. Then we come down here to the agreement report. This is the IF versus MF. I'll just highlight that. This is the, I'm highlighting the agreement matrix. They both said, this 198 indicates they both said OCH, that for that many intervals or transcript lines. They both said TEA for that many transcript lines. This indicates that the first file said 1 CHI when the second file said OCH. Here's our overall agreements, disagreements, and our ratio and our cap on this matrix. Similar matrix for the adult topic. All the groups have the same reports. Each code done separately, and then an agreement matrix. So that's the basics of this. I think I'll stop at this point, and if you have any questions, please contact me. Again, let's look at the analysis preferences to highlight the reinforce that. If you pick the output disagreement times, you'll get the chance to output to Procoder the disagreement times if you want to look at them again. I'm going to uncheck that just for next time, and if you uncheck output the agreement matrix, you don't get the matrix, you just get the stats at the end. I'm going to leave that checked, save that. You can save this file set for later if you want. Save file set. I call it test, and then I will show you the files that we get in the behind. So I'm going to exit Mooses here, and this is the folder I've been working in. So I have a disagreements Procode file and a disagreements discrepancy code file. That would be used if you just wanted to play those back. This is the set file that I just made with the settings that I had before. These are the SBS files. And I'm going to look at those in Excel. And to do that, if you put .csv on the end for comma separated values, your computer will know that Excel is supposed to open that. And I'm going to double click it. And then you can see that each group has a representation for each interval in Excel. So this is group 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7, 8 groups here. If you wanted to compare the two files, this would give you the way Moose is reading it in and parsing it apart. So it's sometimes useful to keep those SBS files, but sometimes not. That covers the basics of it. The thing that's new about this is that the interval checkbox inside of Moose's lets it treat each line as an interval, and just does the transcript comparison of the codes on one line versus one line. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And contact me if you have questions anytime.